Seems a little better.
Yeah.
Okay. Starting with Bucks. All right. Well, we are back on another Wisco Fanatics Wednesday. Got some interesting thoughts coming out of today's show. Jake and I are going to start the show talking with Bucks draft targets. There was a report that came out actually just on Tuesday night that the Bucks are potentially one of the teams inquiring about the Cleveland Cavaliers number 14 pick. So Jake and I could end up talking about these guys that we're interested in targeting at the 24th pick, and then tomorrow during the draft, the Bucks could decide to move up to number 14, and then this content will already be out of date. But that being said, we're gonna prepare as if the Bucks are drafting number 24. So Jake and I each have a few players that we are looking for the Bucks to target at that 24th pick. So I'm gonna let Jake go first.
All right, first of all, welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. So my first guy I know is the one that Tyler and I together. AJ Liddell. As Badgers fans, we should know lots about him. He's very 6'7", 243. He's a guy who has very, very long arms, and he's tough inside for a guy who's only 6'7". He can play out on the wing, the handle, 7.9, 25, so he can play inside, play outside. I know Tyler has more stuff on him, so I'm not going to take too much time on EJ Liddell.
All right, so I want to throw out there, he made 49% of his field goals. He made 37.4% of his threes and 76.5% of his free throws. So he's a solid shooter. There's always room for improvement on stuff like that and shooting. My thought process on EJ Liddell is that I would like to see the Bucks draft him, develop him, and use him in the same role that the Warriors used Draymond Green.
Ooh.
That's the idea that I have for EJ Liddell. He averaged 2.6 blocks last season. He's really good at tracking the ball. So if you can use EJ Liddell as a small ball center, being a guy that can switch onto perimeter players because he has the lateral quickness, that to me is something that when you get into the positionless basketball of today's NBA, that he can make, say, 37% of his threes. He can defend down low because of his length and strength, and he's quick enough to defend guards on the perimeter to potentially switch pick and rolls. So that's why EJ Liddell is really like a really interesting thought process for me, is to have a guy with that much defensive versatility. So that's what I'm looking for from EJ Liddell.
Yeah, he would fit right in on this roster, I think. I think he'd be an instant impact kind of player. So
that's what the Bucks are looking for.
Yeah, so this next guy I'm talking about I don't think he's going to be an instant impact. I think that he has the skill to do that, but I think he's going to be a little bit more of a project, and that is Patrick Baldwin Jr. If you follow high school basketball in the state, the highest rated players in the entire nation, he was getting looked at from Dukes and North Carolinas. He chose to stay home and play for his dad at the University of Milwaukee. He was really, really injured, but he flashed a lot of skills. Now, when I tell you his numbers, you're going to be like, why would you draft the guy? But you have to remember, yes, he's playing in lower leagues, but still D1, and he's playing with guys that are not as good as him. So he's kind of just getting doubled the entire game and just really making it work. Really what you have to watch if you want to watch his highlights is him in the U19. He really flashed a lot of potential in that, in my opinion. He one of his highlights is he hit a Steph Curry no-look three-pointer versus Robert Morris, and he looked right at their bench. He went 6 of 6 from 3 that game. He's 6'10", 231. He averaged 12 points, 5 rebounds, and only 1.5 assists. Now, the 1.5 assists is kind of a lying stat, in my opinion, because he did flash the ability to be a good playmaker. He can grab the rebound like Giannis and push up the floor immediately. Imagine if Giannis can just run up the floor and not have to be the guy to get the rebound. Now that makes him extra dangerous because Baldwin can be a guy that can shoot that three off the dribble. And like I said, he's a willing passer, so he can pass it over to a Chris Middleton, pass it over to a Drew Holiday, or he can hit Giannis running to the rim, which would be the best option, all three of those options. Not that Chris Middleton or Drew Holiday are bad options, but Giannis going to the rim is 100 times out of 100. I'm passing that. Baldwin Jr. really, I think of a guy from Denver, Michael Porter Jr., who came in injured, long, can shoot, good touch. You could tell that he was coached up by his dad, his whole life, because his feet, his hands, his arms, everything looks NBA ready when he shoots that ball. And he really pulls up a lot when he goes to his left. So Patrick Baldwin Jr., I think 2-3 years from now, if we draft him now, we would look back on it like the Warriors did with Jordan Poole when we drafted him in the late 20s, and all of a sudden he's the third splash brother. So that's something to take into consideration, in my opinion.
So my next guy, he's a little bit smaller, but he does fit kind of a similar mold where he's a guy who he's a willing passer. He can shoot the three, although he's a better catch and shoot 3-point shooter, is Wendell Moore. So he's 6'5". He's a little bit smaller. He's more of a shooting guard. He averaged 13.4 points, 5.3 rebounds, 4.4 assists at Duke last year, and 1.4 steals. So he's got the ability to play some good defense. He's a really good catch and shoot 3-point shooter. He's improved his 3-point shooting big time from his first year at Duke. He was 21.1%. Second year at Duke, he was 30.1%. And then last year, he was 41.3% on threes. So he's really massively improved his 3-point shooting. His per 100 possessions from last season, his offensive rating, 123.4. Defensive rating, 101.2. So those are very good offensive and defensive ratings per 100 possessions. And then, like I said, he's a willing passer. He works well in the pick and roll, which is something the Bucks obviously employ a lot of. Honestly, the entire NBA employs a ton of pick and roll, just because it's a really hard thing to defend well over and over and over again. So the NBA does a lot of pick and roll. So having a guy that can orchestrate that on offense is just something that's going to benefit the Bucks.
Okay, so every time I think about the pick and roll, I think of the one saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So I'm glad you brought the pick and roll up because my next guy is awesome at the pick and roll.
We transitioned this perfectly without even planning it.
Right, dude, that was amazing. Jalen Williams from Santa Clara. This guy is 6'6", 7'2" wingspan, so he's big, he's long, and he uses his body and his frame perfectly when he wants to get his own shot off. He will either drive to the rim, take you all the way to the rim and take you back yard, whoop your butt, or he'll stop on a dime and he'll pull up for that little mid-range. He shot 38% from mid-range last year. Obviously, it's not the greatest percentage in the world, but a guy coming in who's young, you can improve on that. I see potential when I'm thinking of drafting 24th. I'm looking at a guy that's either going like, are we going to get a guy that's going to be a flash pan, that's going to be right away, going to be good, or are we going to get a project guy that 2 years from now, all of a sudden he could be a massive piece to our team. And Jalen Williams is a guy that's kind of both. He averaged 18 points, 4.4 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and he shot nearly 4% last year. So a guy that could pull up, do his thing. He can create off the dribble, and he is one of the best pick and roll passers in this draft. I saw him dropping dimes with both hands. He's pulling at the left hand over to the corner. He's bouncing in with his left hand. He's bouncing in with his right hand. He's throwing fireballs over the defender's head right to his big man for lobs. I mean, this guy's everything. Also, the one cool part about him is his birthday is 4/14, so it's already the Milwaukee area code. So I say sign him up. Let's do this.
That's awesome. All right, so my last guy that I'm looking at is Christian Braun from Kansas. So he is 6'7" and plays shooting guard. He has 49.5% on field goals, 38.6% from three, and 73% from the free throw line. He averaged 14.1 points, 6.5 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1 steal, 0.8 blocks. His per 100 possession ratings: offense 116.5, defense 96.9. So very solid defensively. He's got a really good dribble drive. He's sneaky athletic. He can hit threes. He's not afraid of contact. He plays passing lanes well on defense. Really, the only thing he needs to do is limit his turnovers. But all that being said, Christian Braun really reminds me just of a taller version of Grayson Allen.
I am not opposed to that. I'm really not. All right. So I put a guy on there just because, I'm kind of falling in love with him. I was doing it right before the show, man. I was just watching this stuff. It's Nikola Jovic. He's Serbia, Nikola from Serbia, and I'm instantly like, yeah, I'm on board. Let's do this thing. I was watching his highlights, and he's actually got game, man. He's smooth. He's not the fastest guy on the court, but he's got good speed. I feel like he has above average athleticism. Out of 10, I rate him probably about a 7.5. He's getting to the rim. He's pulling up from NBA range from 3 already. They called him one of the 10 best players in the U19 tournament, so that says something to me. He was an efficient scorer, scoring from all over the court. Good free throw shooter. I would say the one thing that they did talk about improvement, and I agreed, was his defense. He's a little bit slow laterally, but that's something that you can work on and improve. Being around a guy like Chris Middleton, who had to grind his way into his stardom, being around a guy, Drew Holiday, who's known as probably the best perimeter defender in the NBA. I mean, you're going to be around good coaches and good players, and you're going to find out positioning and stuff. So Nikola Jovic, he is called the Serbian sensation, and I'm all about it, baby. I say any of these guys on either of our list would be good. We need a guard or a wing in general. A wing, I don't really know if they call them guards or forwards anymore. Just a wing or a backup big. Either would be great for me. But the draft is going to be interesting for the Bucks, especially since they're looking to move up, man. That makes it intriguing. Now we got to watch it. Like, I don't know what's Horst going to do.
Yeah, I actually just wrote an article this morning about like who they could like look to take. And when I was looking at it, I was looking at basically more wings, like guys like Ochai Agbaji, Benedict Mathurin. I don't remember who the other one that I put down was. Potentially, if Mark Williams, the center from Duke, were to fall to 14, like that could be an option. I don't remember who the other one that I had was, but
it's not a bad idea to get younger at center. That's all I'm going to say.
Right. And that's something like center is a position where like if you don't find one in free agency, it's really hard to try to develop somebody into that role. So it's really kind of one of those positions that you want to have figured out before it's a need.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like Christopher just said in the comments, anyone that can play defense and defend the 3-ball. And then on top of that, I'm looking for guys that can also hit the 3-ball. So basically, I'm just looking for a bunch of guys that are 3-and-D guys is basically what I'm looking for. Scott, we did start with EJ Liddell. Jake and I both had EJ Liddell on our list.
Mm-hmm.
Are we planning to do live draft coverage tomorrow? We hadn't planned on it.
I'm not opposed. I mean, I don't really have anything going on tomorrow.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, I don't know if you want to do the whole draft or if you want to just do when the Bucks pick or how you want to do it.
I mean, I can start it up, man, and then you can join whenever you're around your. I mean, like I said, I got nothing going on. After 2:00, which is my daughter's 1-year checkup at the doctor, gonna find out how chunky she is. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, she's got your cheeks, so.
Oh, she's got my cheeks. The rest of her looks nothing like me. It looks like my girlfriend. Thank God, man. I don't want her to be chunky, but agent would be in better offense. We're not getting Aiden, dude. He's demanding like $40 million a year.
Yeah, he wants max money. He's gonna get paid like just below max money. Like I see him getting a deal like similar to Rudy Gobert. Ayton, I don't know where Ayton's gonna end up. I don't think he's gonna stick around with the Suns, despite them saying that they're trying to clear cap space to sign Ayton. Yeah. As far as getting younger at center, I think a more realistic option would be a guy like Mo Bamba. I do think, based on what John Horst said last week during his media availability, they are going to roll with Brook Lopez this year. What's up, Big Cheese? Ayton to LA. I mean, if the Clippers could find a way to trade for DeAndre Ayton, that would be a really good pickup for them. But they got massive contracts with Kawhi and Paul George, so they would basically be a three-headed monster, and that's it.
If they get Ayton and Kawhi comes back, they might be my favorite to win the West, and I'm not even joking.
It's interesting. Middleton is under contract. So
The Warriors, though, with Wiseman, dude.
I heard they might trade him because they won without him.
Hey, the younger option right there. I'll take Wiseman. Give me Wiseman.
Scott, Middleton's under contract.
The Lakers ain't doing shit until they get rid of that Westbrook contract. It's plain and simple. They're not doing shit. $47 million for one player. The projected cap is like 122. I saw this morning. Between Taylor Horton Tucker, Anthony Davis, and LeBron, that's 92 of the 122. And then they have the player option to Westbrook. They're screwed. Their roster is basically set already until they get rid of Russ.
Yeah, that's a rough contractual position
That's
to be
a great starting point. Yeah, that's tough, bro. I mean, they went all in on that big three. They listened to LeBron. They got rid of all the young pieces. They went all in on that. They got one title out of it, but if you're the Lakers fans are kind of like Packers fans. They expect more than one, and they're really, really, really babied in that way, I would say.
I just wanted to look and see if Middleton has a player option at the end of his contract or not.
I think he does. I think he has a player option.
Yeah, so Middleton is signed.
Hey, I'm talking, man. He's probably my favorite talk of all of them.
Yeah, he signed through this year, and then he has a $40 million player option next year. So next year is the year that he could either opt out or opt in. Draft talk, that's
better bench point guard and consistent backup three. Yeah, I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
and Christopher, that's it. And I would say one more defender in there too. Just one more defensive specialist, I think, too, because I think that's ultimately the thing that they were missing besides Chris Middleton, who was down with the injury. The only other piece that was really different from the championship season to last year was PJ Tucker. That was a role they attempted to fill with Semi Ojeleye. Obviously, that experiment didn't pay off. Rodney Hood was never that guy, but and they couldn't get to a Dennis Schroeder. They tried doing that. Scott, he can't opt out until next year, so it doesn't even it really doesn't even pay to discuss it until that comes around. So so that'll be a next summer thing. But yeah, I mean, PJ Tucker was really the only difference. Ibaka was really more of an insurance policy, just in case Brook Lopez wasn't able to come back, or if he came back and was re-injured. Had Brook Lopez gotten re-injured, Bobby Portis would have been the starting center, and Ibaka would have been the primary backup there. But honestly, in today's NBA, nobody's going 3 deep at center.
Shit, you're lucky we go deep. We're lucky that we had 2 big men on the floor consistently with Giannis and another big.
Especially against the Celtics.
Yeah, they're small.
Ibaka was a block machine when he was a little bit younger.
Now he's more like a highly contested machine now.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. But so I wanted to give a shout out real quick. Do you remember when you brought up? Oh man, this is probably 2 months ago now. You brought up Joey Weimer's Brewers.
Oh yeah, Joey Weimer. Yeah.
So I was watching last night. I was chilling. The day off today, so I was a little later. Chilling on the couch watching SportsCenter, and they were showing the top 10. And number 5 was a play by Joey Weimer's. He was number 1 last night.
He was number 5 and number 1.
But yeah, dude, he made a couple crazy catches, and I was like, shout out Brewers, baby. Let's go.
Yep. Yeah, Joey Weimer's tearing it up down in AA. I'm really excited for the Brewers 2024 outfield. Sal Frelick got hurt yesterday, so hopefully it's nothing bad with him. But Sal Frelick hit a triple yesterday and then came out of the game. So hopefully he's not dealing with anything too bad. But, yeah, Scott, if we had Middleton, I think the Bucks are in the finals as well. It's a thing where, good teams can, play the if game, but great teams can overcome those injuries because everybody deals with them. That's how I feel. That's the mantra that I preached with the Bucks when they won the championship. For other teams, we're saying, oh, these guys were injured, this guy was injured, the Bucks are just lucky. It's like injuries happen to everybody.
Yeah.
Giannis hyperextended his knee in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Bucks went and won 2 games without him. They happen to everybody. And they happened to the Bucks this year. I think the Bucks should still have won without Middleton, but they didn't. So it's harder. It's harder that.
There's definitely a few games that they definitely gave away where you're looking at it and you're like,
and
Middleton
made the difference in that game.
Yeah, and they stole one on the road, and now it's just like, all right, we're going back home for Game 6, baby. Let's do this thing. Let's get it taken care of, knock them out, and we can hopefully heal up. I don't think we really needed Middleton against the Heat. Now the Heat are a tough team. I think the Bucks could have beat the Heat without him, but Middleton coming back, and we could have ushered him in slowly and let him get fully healthy. I think Warriors Bucks was going 7, and it was going to be a match.
I agree. That would have been so good. That would have been so good.
And the way that Curry was shooting later in that series, I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying, man, because he had a game where he went 0 for 9. I'm just saying, man, I don't know. We might be going back-to-back. It feels like we should have.
Yeah, and that's ultimately for people that want to complain about Budenholzer or whatever it is. Like, ultimately, without your second best player, you're not going to get fired for losing a series that went 7 games to the team that ended up in the finals.
Who has an answer for Giannis, though? Let's be honest. What's the answer to Giannis? A wall. That is it. A wall of human beings. That is
at least 3 dudes.
A wall of humans. After that, you're done. I'm sorry.
So I've seen it in the comments a couple places. Guys talking about Lorenzo Cain. Unfortunately, Lorenzo Cain was DFA'd on Saturday, and ultimately the fact of the matter is it was a sad but understandably necessary move to designate Lorenzo Cain for assignment. He did clear waivers and is now a free agent. So, if the Brewers got into a really bad pinch, like, they could call up Lorenzo Cain and be like, hey, like, you want to come play some center field? Ultimately, what it's going to lead to is a lot more playing time for Tyrone Taylor.
Yep.
And probably the Brewers looking for an outfielder on the trade market. So Jake and I each have a handful of guys that we'd like to trade for. Unfortunately, the outfield trade market's a little thin. And it's not the only place that the Brewers have a need right now because they have so many injuries, especially to the pitching staff. So my first trade target, I looked at him a couple of weeks ago, and he's only started to play better since then, and he's only 24 years old, so this first trade target ultimately is not a very realistic one because it would take so much to acquire him. But it's Andrew Vaughn from the White Sox. He's only 24. He's killing left-handed pitching, which is ultimately one of the reasons that I wanted him on the Brewers. He came in as a first baseman, but he's been playing a lot of left field and a little bit of right field. So he could play outfield, but ultimately, if the White Sox keep losing, I think it's possible that they trade Jose Abreu, and keep Andrew Vaughn. On the question of Hader getting traded, no. If you're a team that's contending or looking to contend, you don't trade one of your best players. Those trade rumors that fire up every year are because the Brewers are a small market, and small market teams don't often pay relievers high money, and 2 is because there's a lot of big market teams that want to trade for a guy like Josh Hader. Mainly the 2 in New York. That's why that gets brought up every year, is because the big markets want to trade for him, and the Brewers being a small market, having a guy that's due to make a lot of money, those 2 things usually just get spun into a narrative of, hey, this guy's due for a big contract because he's playing well. That means the small market team will trade him automatically, when that's not necessarily the case, especially on a team that has been in the playoffs for 4 years in a row. I agree. He's the best in the game. They got to pay him.
You don't trade players that are the best.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where,
young,
say the Brewers were on pace to win like 80 games or 75 games, then you could trade him for, say 12 prospects or something like that. But it's for a team that's, like I said, the team that's been in the playoffs for 4 consecutive years. You just don't trade one of your best players when you're looking to get back into the playoffs and potentially make a World Series run.
Yeah, man. The Brewers are, in my opinion, if they can get healthy on pitching, starting rotation is very good when healthy. I have a guy that could help bolster that in my trade targets. But maybe one more bat, and Tyler brought up a great point talking about left-handed hitting. And I knew you were going to do that. I was like, Tyler's going to fucking kill this section, yeah. Man. Tyler's going to kill it. But, I think they're one hitter away from really, really unlocking their potential. I see the potential in their hitting. I see, what they were looking at and the guys they're trying to put in the lineup and move them up and down. And I see the potential in it. I just feel like they haven't found their groove yet.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to. I mean, there's still some left backs. Man, the thing about Adams is different, though. Adams is, in football terms, he's old. Hader is young in baseball age. So he's getting another 1-2 contracts where Adams, this is his last one. This is the last big contract Adams is getting. The Packers offered it. He didn't want to take it. He wanted to go play for his hometown team. So, hey, that's on him. He is the best, though. I agree. He's still the best player. I'm not a salty fan. I am going to be sad not hearing Rodgers finds Adams. I mean, I will be sad. I won't lie. We move on to Watson and Dubs, man. We got a cool guy with Dubs, man. Come on.
Romeo Dubs is still the coolest name in the draft.
Oh, easily. Not even close. And I'm so glad that we got him, dude. So glad. I'm going to go to my first trade target. Should I do my unrealistic one?
Yeah, you might as well. I did my unrealistic one.
Yeah. I had to, reshuffle how I was going to do it because I had it all in my head. And you're like, oh, this one's unrealistic. All right. So the guy that I think is a little bit unrealistic but would honestly just make this lineup crazy. My current favorite Brewer right now is Hunter Renfro, who we got from the Red Sox. I went for another one, and it's JD Martinez. This guy just hits. Straight up, he just hits baseballs. He has a 330 average, 396 OBP, and a 535 slugging percentage. He's had 7 seasons with at least 20 homers. 4 of those, he had over 30. He's had 4 seasons with 100 RBIs. He almost had another one last year because he had 99 RBIs. I'd be so pissed if I ended the year with 99. I'd be so pissed. Be like, why did I ground into 9 double plays, you dumb bastard? But anyways, JD Martinez on this team as the DH would just be disgusting, in my opinion.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, the Red Sox are in an awkward position. The Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the Rays are all in kind of a logjam behind the Yankees in the AL East. And then, for a while, I don't know if they might still be. They were the 3 wild card teams. So, if that continues after the Red Sox, they went on a huge long win streak, so they might turn into buyers. But we'll see what happens with them, I guess. So I have one more batter, and then I have 3 pitchers on my list, actually. But my other batter is CJ Crone. I had him kind of on my list from the Rockies last year, actually, too, because he was on such a low 1-year contract. He does play in Coors Field. It's a hitter-friendly ballpark. So is American Family Field. So it's within reason to think that his power numbers could translate to Milwaukee. He's batting .298. 344 on base percentage, 561 slugging percentage, has a 905 OPS. That would be the highest on the Brewers by a lot. Yeah. He's got 17 home runs so far this season, which is 2 more than Willie Adames, who's leading the Brewers right now. These are his numbers versus left-handed pitching: 279, 333, 603. Those would all be the best for the Brewers. That would be super useful.
Yeah. All right. This guy I know is getting mentioned by a lot of Brewers fans. He plays for the Royals. The Royals are awful. Andrew Benintendi. I believe I said that correctly. He's a lefty bat. He bats .296. He has 16 extra base hits, so he gets on base and he hits the ball hard. And I wrote down his games for the last 7 because we were the power pair. So I was like, you know what? I'll do his last 7. He's 8 of, so average. He has scored 6 runs, 3 RBIs, 3 walks, and a home run. He's not a power threat. He only has 3 home runs in the air, but one of his 3 came in the last 7 games. So I'll take it. He plays good defense. I just think, another valuable lefty bat would be big for the Brewers.
All right, my last 3, they're all starting pitchers in response to Aaron Ashby ending up on the disabled list. Yeah. All right.
I got one more. I got one pitcher, so run yours off.
All right. Brandon Woodruff is making a rehab start in Appleton. And actually Trevor Gott and Mike Brasso are all going to be playing in the same game. So if you want to see 3 Brewers in Appleton and sit close, find out what game those 3 are all playing in to rehab. That being said, Freddie Peralta has just started throwing, so he's playing a little bit of catch. That's the update on Freddie Peralta so far. And then Aaron Ashby went onto the injured list as well. I've been saying it for a couple weeks now. I like the thought of having Jason Alexander stick around in the bullpen to add some bullpen depth there. So if Peralta, Woodruff, and Ashby all come back healthy, I do think it would potentially give the Brewers the option to be healthy. There's Taylor gassing us up.
I need that today, buddy. I appreciate you.
I'll even flash it on the screen for you, Jake.
I appreciate that, man. Seriously.
So assuming that all 3 of those guys can be back healthy, the Brewers might not need a starter. So that being said, I'm looking for guys that could just basically fill in. So the first one I'm looking at is Frankie Montes. He's from the Oakland A's. He's the one guy that survived the fire sale. Ultimately, it was because the A's were reportedly asking for a high return. That being said, he's got a 3.53 ERA, a 1.14 WHIP, and a 25% strikeout rate and a 46% ground ball rate. So he would fit right in along with guys like Lauer, Hauser, Jason Alexander that generate a lot of ground balls. So that's one. My second one is Chad Kuhl. He's only making $3 million this year. He might be the most affordable one. He's also in Colorado. So if the Brewers could maybe work something out to get Chad Kuhl and CJ Crone, that would be a really, really enticing deal potentially for me. He's got a 3.69 ERA. So it's nice. It's not terrible. It's not too low that it's going to, cost a high asking price. And then he has a 142 whip that's walks and hits per inning pitched, which is okay. And then my last one is Martine Perez. He's pitching for the Rangers. He has a 2.10 ERA this year. He has the lowest home run percentage allowed in baseball. That's something the Brewers could definitely use in their starting lineup. There's a 1.11 whip, over 81 and a third innings. He's another guy that pitches for a lot of contact. So while he is giving up a lot of contact, it's all staying in the ballpark. 51.7% ground balls, 23% fly balls. He's only making $4 million this year. So all 3 of those guys I think could be affordable. But I do really like the thought process of a potential Chad Kuhl, CJ Crone pairing.
That was a lot. You good?
Yep.
All right. So my last one, guy from the Reds, starting pitcher, Luis Castillo. He's a guy I think you could put in at the end of the rotation, fitting right after Lauer. And great, 4 this year. So you look at his record and you're like, why are you going for a guy that's doing 4? Because the Reds suck, okay? He has a 3.33 run average on the Reds. And the Reds, you want to talk about a home run ballpark? Yeah. God, I don't know what's worse, the Rockies or the Reds. There's a lot of home runs both years in both those stadiums, and every year. He only has 15 walks and 46 innings pitched. So, he keeps the walks down. Nothing annoys me more when I'm watching the Brewers than when they walk a guy, especially when it's like a 1-2 count or an 0-2 count, and the guy walks off. I'm like, oh, that is annoying. So he's a guy that keeps the walks down. He has a good earned run average. And like I said, he can go right at the end of the rotation, and you feel good about that. He's 29, so he's been in the league a couple of years, and he knows the NL Central. So that's also a key for me Do the Brewers need to move or stop trying to fix Castillo?
So I actually am going to put Christopher and Taylor's comments together. So Christopher asked if the Brewers need to stop and move, need to stop trying to fix and move Keston Hiura. And Taylor asked who would I trade away to get those two.
Keston Hiura.
Ultimately, any trade that I envision for the Brewers includes sending out Keston Hiura. I do think you could talk the Rockies into trading for Keston Hiura, being a young bat that hits for a lot of power in a hitter-friendly ballpark. I do think you could talk the Rockies into that.
Yep.
And then it comes down to basically just including a couple of prospects. If the Rockies would potentially, I don't know that anybody really would be, but if you could maybe include a Corey Ray. If I don't want to trade Bryce Terang. Because if Colton Wong decides to move on from the Brewers after this year, the Brewers are going to need a second baseman. And Bryce Terang could maybe be filling that role. So I don't really want to trade Bryce Terang, but he's a guy that could be potentially included in a deal like that. I think Ethan Small would be too much to give up. There are some other some guys like Antoine Kelly who's kind of the Ethan Small to Aaron Ashby. Antoine Kelly is to Ethan Small. So he's kind of like the next guy up in that. The Brewers have a lot of outfield depth in the minors. I don't want to trade Joey Weimer or Sal Frelick. So maybe Garrett Mitchell would be a guy that would be potentially tradable. Just because, Yelich is going to be here for another 5 years, I think. So Yelich is going to be around. I'd like to keep Hunter Renfro. Honestly, I consider keeping Hunter Renfro over Tyrone Taylor. He's only 2 years older than Taylor. So the Brewers would still have some outfield depth. So I could think maybe Garrett Mitchell, Keston Hiura, like I mentioned, Antoine Kelly. Some combinations of those guys are potentially guys you could trade away.
So to answer your question?
I hope so.
I was just wondering. That was very well done.
I try to take in so much information all the time that so that I can answer questions. So I do.
We're not trading away Luis.
Not trading Urias. He is the third baseman of the future. Urias and Willy Adames being in their mid-20s and through both of them signed through at least 2025. Those two are both sticking around for a long time.
Yeah. If we don't trade away Willy Adames ever, I'll be very happy. That's all I'm going to say because I love Willy Adames.
Yeah. And while we're on the subject, just give Corbin Burns a lifetime contract and just leave the money the money part, just leave it blank.
You need to create separate. We need to create a separate, payroll for Hader, Burns, and Willie. Those are the three guys. Oh, and Devin Williams. I don't want Devin Williams going anywhere either. So those four players right there, I want to stick around forever because they're just amazing at what they do. Honestly, the Brewers having Devin Williams and Josh Hader is unfair. And we are going to talk about a game where all three of those pitchers were the only three used, and it was amazing.
Yeah. That's going to suck. Just knowing that you start playing against Corbin Burns, so it's all right, well, we're fucked for the first 6 innings of this game at least. And then Burns goes 7, and it's fuck. Now we had to face Devin Williams and Josh Hader back to back after just dealing with 7 innings of Corbin Burns. That's a recipe for success there for the Brewers. And yeah, I've been a Urias guy since the Brewers traded for him. Actually, I got Jake to come around on him last year, especially after the Arcia trade, because I know there were a lot of people bagging on Urias when he was playing a lot of shortstop and dealing with some errors. They moved him over to third base, and he got a lot better. And he actually finished second on the Brewers in home runs last year. To answer Taylor's question, if they're going to try to focus on small ball and not rely on the homers, they seem to be doing a little bit better with that recently. Ultimately, the Brewers just, I don't know how to go about fixing it, but the Brewers just aren't the best at putting 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 good at-bats in a row to drive in 2, 3, 4, 5 runs in an inning without hitting a home run. They've done it, and they're capable, but it's ultimately just not their identity. It's something that you'd like to see them do a little bit more. Like last night's a perfect example. They drew a bunch of walks. They drew 5 walks. 4 of them came with 0 outs, and only 1 of them came around to score. The other walk they drew came with 1 out. So ultimately what it comes down to is just putting hits together. Luis Urias hit a couple really hard balls last night. Ultimately didn't come around to score. Christian Yelich was on base a couple times last night. It's just it really comes down to more stringing hits together versus thinking about what kind of hits you're generating. I don't think necessarily that every guy is going up there swinging for the fences, but I do think the Brewers are going up there and they're just looking to hit the ball hard, regardless of where it goes. The Brewers just want to hit the ball hard, and where it goes is where it goes. I will talk about that a little bit when I get to what I think the Brewers can improve on, just because I have a little bit of statistics to kind of bring it up. But let's start with the second and third games of the Mets series. So let's start with the second game last week, and let's talk about the second game of the Mets series.
All right. So Corbin Burns was on the bump for this one. He gave us 6 innings. I expect nothing less from Corbin Burns. 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 0 walks, and 8 Ks. The guy is just a monster. But outside of that, I got one shout out to give, and then another thing to talk about the Brewers offense that I was very, very proud of. First of all, I'll give a shout out to Hunter Renfro. Guy was on base 4 times. He was 1 for 1, and he drew 3 walks. He only scored 1 run 5 times. Okay.
5 times.
Well, I didn't watch the entire game. I was very busy. But it was playing in my daughter's
Twitter, bro.
Daughter's first
you
birthday.
You gotta follow all the beat writers.
It was a busy week, but Hunter was on base a lot, man, and he had a good week this week, in my opinion. Spoiler alert. But the thing that I really, really wanted to point out is the 7 RBIs with 2 outs. That is what winning teams do. McCutcheon, Cain, Peterson, Carantini, Adames all had 2-out RBIs, and I want to mention the Brewers scored 10 runs and didn't hit a home run in this game.
Yep.
That is absolutely massive.
Glad you brought that up.
A little bit more attention to detail now, buddy.
Yeah, attaboy. Christopher's over here making me feel good.
I'll give you the floor.
He's giving me all the confidence in the comments. Christopher's making me feel good today. So in addition to what Jake said,
Let's go, Chris.
Brewers started the first inning with a double, 2 hit by pitches. Luis Urias started off with a 2 RBI single. That broke a 30-inning consecutive scoreless streak for the Mets at home.
Wow.
Yeah. In the first inning, they broke that. So
the Mets are kind of scary, man. They're without their 2 best pitchers, and they're good here.
I was just going to say, if Scherzer and DeGrom were healthy, yeah. I do think they play in kind of a crappy division, but an underachieving division, I'll say.
Yeah, the Phillies are a little underachieving. I mean, they do have the Braves as defending champs, and the Braves give us problems because Max Fried absolutely dominates us most of the time. But other than those two, they're like the NL Central. It's really the Brewers and the Cardinals.
Right. So everybody but Keston Hiura and Mark Mathias recorded a hit in this game, actually. Willie Adames had 3 hits. The Brewers scored in multiple ways. Sanchez and Strzelecki combined for 3 innings pitched, 0 hits. Sanchez did walk 3 batters. I'm going to say this now, and I'm going to say it again. Stop running on Hunter Renfro. Like, it's just not going to work out for you, man. Just don't do it. Hunter Renfro drew 3 walks in this game, was on base 5 times. Both of those were firsts for his career.
Bro, he's got a cannon. He's straight up got a rocket launcher. He's just
Dude, he's like the best throwing right fielder since 2017. So over the last 5 years, he's like the best throwing right fielder in Major League Baseball, and we got him for Jackie Bradley Jr.
So we got Jackie Bradley Jr.'s defense, but he bats right-handed and he hits home runs.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
Yeah, I would say he's got a little bit less range, not a ton less, but I'd say he's got a little bit less range. Definitely a better arm, and he's going to hit like 5 times as many home runs.
Oh yeah, I know. I was actually excited for Jackie Bradley last year.
So was I, because the year before the Brewers brought him in, he hit 283. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That's that's solid. The guy you can stick in like 7th in the lineup, and then he batted like 195, and it's like, okay, well, that was cool.
Yeah,
he had 1 walk-off, so I mean, he had that. Played a bunch of good defense, so that's cool. What's up, Simon?
He didn't even bet 200 in a walk-off. That's baseball, baby.
Yeah, that is baseball.
Oh, yeah.
I suppose while Simon's in here, we can let everybody know that's watching and listening that not this coming Friday, but the following Friday is going to be our first Friday night Packers show. Simon is going to be with us for that, as well as our buddy Bryant. So that'll be fun. Yeah, we're gonna do a lot more. We're gonna do a lot more Packers discussion this year. A lot more. Being that we're giving Packers their own show on Friday nights. So
I'm excited.
A lot more Packers discussion. Me too. So let's go to game 3. Oh, wait, before we move on, I got to say game 2 is the game that Craig Counsell became the Brewers' all-time leader in managerial wins. So we definitely got to give Craig Counsell some credit for that. We were not even a week ago and people wanted him fired. And now he's the winningest manager in history for the Brewers.
And they won a couple of games and the world stopped falling. That is.
Oh my, yeah, dude, right? They never even dipped to 500.
Yeah.
The Nationals were 19-31 in 2019 and won a World Series. And people were freaking out because the Brewers were 5 games over 500.
Yeah.
Calm down. It'll be okay. Babies. It'll be okay.
All right, here we go. This game kind of sucks to talk about because I feel like the Brewers gave this one away. Truthfully, they were up 4-0 in this game. Ashby pitched 4 1/3, 4 hits, 4 earned runs. He had 3 walks. Whenever you see a big number and you're like 3 is not a big number, but when it comes to walks, 3 is kind of a big number in my opinion. You're going to get hurt. In baseball, that's just how it works. 5 basically because he has a disgusting slider. Milner came in. He looked pretty good in my opinion. I mean, no earned runs, 1 K, 2 hits in 1 2/3. Boxberger did what he does because he's a monster. And Suter the Raptor has been pretty good recently. Yelich had a homer in this game. Renfro another RBI. Narvaez 2 RBIs. Renfro is just a man. I just love him. He was 2 for 4, 1 RBI this game. He's easily my favorite player. But
he threw another guy out in that game too. Stop running on Renfro. It's not going to work for you.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the game where I got the stat, I believe, where he has 52 outfield assists.
Yep. So that's the most by like 10. I think Starling Marte had the next most with 42.
Yeah, and he was in the same series. But it just still sucks that they gave this one away. Up 4-0, I feel good about the Brewers. I mean, the regular Brewers. But it is what it is, man. Ashby's going to take his bumps.
Right. Oh, and literally because he wound up on the 15-day injured list after this game. So, all right, I have a bunch of stuff to go with this one. So, first, I saw people questioning why Suter in the bottom of the 8th there. It's because he was saving Devin Williams for a potential bottom of the 9th, which would have been a save opportunity. Josh Hader unavailable. Next thing I want to say. 15 strikeouts as a team is way too many. That's twice as often as you should be striking out in a game. And I think even less. Need a clip of saying don't run on Hunter Renfro. It's not going to work for you.
That's a good idea. I'm going to write that down.
I'm with it. Saving Devin Williams for the bottom of the 9th, which would have been a potential save situation, and the Brewers could have been able to score in the top of the 9th. And then, so I want to bring up the decision to send Hunter Renfro and him being ultimately out at home. I like the decision. So a couple weeks ago, we talked about the decision to send Rowdy Tellez home, and he was thrown out at the plate. Hunter Renfro's quite a bit faster than Rowdy Tellez. Pretty much everybody on the Brewers is. But so the pitcher for the Mets that was pitching at the time is Edwin Diaz. he has one of the highest strikeout rates in baseball. So I saw a lot of people saying we could have had second and third with one out in the top of the order coming up. But that being said, I would rather try to be aggressive on the bases than to have guys at second and third and have 2 strikeouts and then being like, well, we could have tried to send a guy and maybe he would have scored. So ultimately, whatever happens, the other situation is what people are going to be like, well, why didn't we do that? So if you get to a position where you can send a guy, try to be aggressive on the bases, force a throwing error, that potentially say that ball gets away from the catcher. Not only does, I think it was Tyrone Taylor, get over to third base, and then you have another runner in scoring position with just 1 out and a 1-run lead. The other side of the coin is you have guys on second and third, 2 guys strike out to one of the guys in Major League Baseball that strikes out the batters most often. And then you're like, well, why didn't you send Renfro on the double? So it's just one of those things where you just got to take the perspective. And, like I said, Edwin Diaz, one of the highest strikeout rates in baseball. So you're going to have a tough time putting the ball in play against a pitcher like that. So my stance on it is to be aggressive while the ball is already in play instead of trying to rely on putting the ball in play again. Fair?
Yeah, especially for a team that, and you've said it a million times on here, that doesn't collectively put hits together. I say you got to try to, force your own luck a little bit. Yeah. I wasn't upset that they sent him.
Right. So I did have two positive takeaways in addition to this. Again, Hunter Renfro throwing another guy out. I think I might have a new number 1 fan. I think Christopher's going to be my number 1 fan now. Taylor and Tim are going to have to move over.
I'll get you a shirt. I'll get you a shirt, Chris.
You can get shirts. I mean, if you want to, you can go to the Wisco Ball website, wiscoball.com/WiscoFanatics, and you can get Wisco Fanatics shirts now, which is cool. Been looking for that for a while. Favorite.
Blue one.
I think I'm getting a blue one. I think that's the one I have coming is blue.
That's the one I picked as well, and my girlfriend.
I think Courtney got a black one, but her first one was blue. So here we go. We're gonna start a rumble in the comments between Taylor and Christopher.
He said, "Oh no, Taylor, you can be my number 1 fan." I mean, I'm pretty cool too.
Yeah, Jake wears sleeveless hoodies, so he's got that going for him.
What's up? No muscles anymore, man. I got dad arms now.
That's awesome.
Cold number 1.
I'll take it. But I'm 1A. You can be 1B.
Okay.
And the other thing that I took away from Game 3 of that Mets series was the Brewers did actually out-hit the Mets 11-7. So that was my other positive takeaway from that game. Just because I'm always looking for them. So, Jake, low-key better. There's Tim. Tim is here. Tim from the top row. How long have you guys been watching? Oh, that's awesome.
Love it, Tim. Love it.
He's got those guns I bought tickets for. Oh, that's awesome.
No guns over here. No guns over here.
Oh, that's awesome. Tim said how long you guys been watching. That's awesome. Oh, Tim from the top
Tim,
ropes.
I'm going to be honest. You're funny. You've been here longer. But the Julio Jones jokes, Tyler's not a fan of. Tyler's not a fan of the Julio
Jones. Man.
Here, look at it. I got him already. That's funny as hell.
I don't understand the boner for Julio Jones, especially after he just signed a 1-year deal, was hurt most of the season, and didn't produce a lot.
No, he didn't produce at all. And they were trying to force him the ball. And then they were like, oh, yeah, we have A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
And then they threw the ball, and then A.J. Brown, like, yeah, I'm it's stupid.
Okay. Let's go to the Reds series. Let's start with Game 1 of the Reds series, Eric Lauer.
Okay. Before we do that, I got a question. Who kills the Reds more? Is it Renfro or is it Yelich? Because after this series, I'm having serious questions.
I ultimately do still think it's Yelich just because he's got the longer track record, but Hunter Renfro has been in the AL, and despite Major League Baseball having the longest regular season out of any sport, has the least amount of interleague play. It just absolutely baffles me why. You play the most
Yeah, that makes no
games,
sense.
and the leagues play each other the least. Especially now with the DH being in both leagues, like there's no reason not to integrate the schedules more.
Dude, and if you want to create more excitement and fans, talking about it more, play other people that you don't play very often.
Right. Yeah, integrate them a little bit more.
I would love – I think the Brewers play the Yankees later this year. Is it August?
Yes, August. They play the Blue Jays in their next series. So
that'll be cool. I'm the Brewers playing the Yankees. That'll be sick. Yeah, that's sick, man. I don't remember last time the Brewers played the Blue Jays, I'll be honest with you. But anyway,
it's been a while.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but it would be cool. Let's talk Brewers. 5, Reds 4. That's a dub for the Crew. Eric Lauer, 6 1/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 Ks. Did have 1 walk, but I like that. If you give it at 1 and below, I'm super happy with that walk number.
Yep, I'll take that.
Sanchez, 2/3 inning, looked all right. Williams came in, did Devin Williams things, and Boxberger shut that shit down. Renfro, 3 RBIs. Adames and Hero with 2 out homers, 2 out RBIs. That's something that I really, really looked for this week. Renfro, Adames, and Hero all hit home runs. And the reason I asked that is because Renfro had a couple home runs against them. Bro, he's crazy against the Reds. He was the man. Eric Lauer looked like Eric Lauer, but Adames, man, I don't think we have enough. He has the most homers for shortstops this year, NL ranks, and he was hurt for a while, so that's crazy to me.
He's played 47 up before yesterday. He played 47 games out of the 70, and still has the most home runs on the Brewers.
He has 14 home runs already.
So here it is. It's Robin Yount has the most home runs as a shortstop for the Brewers with 29. And in less than half of a season, Willie Adames has 14 despite only playing 47 games. So he's hitting home runs at about every 3.5 games. So with about 90 games to go, damn, Willie might hit 40. Willie might hit 40 this year if he keeps going at the pace he's at.
It'll end up being close. He'll probably end up with like 32, 33.
Dude, I'll take that.
Oh, easily.
Tim, as far as changing the schedule up more next year, I'd have to look into it. The really shiesty thing that Major League Baseball did while they were doing all these lockout agreements is that Major League Baseball reserved the right to change like 6 different rules for 2023. And basically all they need to do to change a rule is to give the Players Association like a 45-day notice. And then it's like, yep, there you go. Yep, rules changed. Got that. And that rule has changed. 45 days from now, no more shifts. And we're going to make the bases bigger. And we're going to move second base closer. So hope you guys are ready. Like, that's how it struck me that Major League Baseball was trying to handle stuff. Meanwhile, the Players Association was just trying to get more guaranteed money and spring training pay for minor leaguers. That's what the Players Association was fighting for, and for less up and down, less call-ups and send-downs for to count for service time. So it used to be 6, now it's 5 call-ups and send-downs before it counts as a league year. Mm-hmm. So that's the stuff that the Players Association was going for. But like Jake said, Lauer had an okay game. The home runs thing, I'm going to talk about a little bit when I get into improving some things. I do want to say Hunter Green coming into this game, his last 2 starts, 12 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 15 strikeouts. So they got Hunter Green had been pitching pretty well. Brewers came in and were able to get at him a little bit. Rowdy Tellez was making some really good defensive plays in this game early and late. So it's good to see Rowdy Tellez, even despite his refrigerator-like agility, making some defensive plays.
That's one of them that stuck, baby. I don't have many, but that's one that stuck, and I love
it. Tim said during the broadcast on Monday they'll be playing less divisional matchups. And that's ultimately what it should be. Like, you shouldn't need to be playing the same team 20-plus times a season and playing a 3-game series against 5 different teams once a year.
Bro, I was going to say, I don't know how many games I watched the Brewers play against the Pirates, but it's a fuck ton. And I'm sorry for the language, but goddamn, we always play the damn Pirates or the Cubs. I swear to God.
It is. It's like every other series is a divisional matchup. And like while the divisions are how the playoffs are decided, like you could probably tone it down a little bit when there's 162 games to be played. It's so many games to have the least amount of interleague play. Never understood it.
I love how basketball does it. Not to cut you off, but I love how
basketball. Yeah, basketball is perfect.
Perfect. They
Perfect.
play against the West, as the Bucks. I'm talking as the Bucks. They play against the West. They're 2 games. They get a home and home with that. They play against their division. 4 times.
4 times. Yep.
And then they divide up the other games. Like they played the Nets a bunch because that was the matchup. They play against the 76ers because you get Giannis. They do a very, very good job with how they divide their games. And I wish baseball would adopt that a little bit more. Like have a home and home series against, or you can do like, okay, say they play the Yankees at home this year, which they do. Next year we play the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. Do something like that, like that's something that could be.
Yeah, it's such a thing where it's like every 4 years is when like they alternate. It's crazy. They try to push the border battle thing between the Brewers and the Twins. It's like, bro, we see them 6 games a year.
Yeah.
It's like a border battle. It's like, okay, yep, take care. See you next August. Like that's all right.
Yeah, I will see you next year, and we will talk about that next year. We'll talk
95 games to play between then and now. But take care. Okay. So back to game 1, some positive takeaways that I had from the game 1 of the Red Series. It's good to see Sanchez get a scoreless outing, especially in a close game. Only 2 walks total by Brewers pitchers. So Jake mentioned the one by Lauer, only 1 other walk in the rest of that game. Rowdy making 2 defensive plays after making an error in the last game of the Mets series that ultimately kind of cost the game. Castanheira hit his first home run off a left-handed pitcher. So that finally happened. It's good to see that. And then a leadoff single in the 8th inning, followed up by a strike him out, throw him out double play from Omar Narvaez. So that's good to see that too. It's just good to see the Brewers starting to fire on all cylinders despite it happening against a weak team. So let's go to game 2. This was Saturday. This was ultimately the game where Lorenzo Cain was DFA'd before the game. But the Brewers did get another Jonathan Davis in Wisconsin out of that. Obviously a different Jonathan Davis. But he came up and he hit 2 for 4 and a spot start in center field. So, I mean, that's cool. Got that going for us. Yelich hit a lead single, and then Yelich took a big turn after hitting that single. A bad throw came in because he took a big turn. The outfielder tried to make a quick throw. The ball got away from both of the infielders, both of the cutoff men, and Yelich was able to get to second. I keep saying this. Force errors. Force the other team to make defensive plays. Put some pressure on the other team. See what you can do with it. Get some extra bases. The Brewers, don't put the ball in play a ton. When you put the ball in play, be a little aggressive. So Yelich takes a big turn. Yeah, force the issue. Yelich takes a big turn after a single. The throw gets away into right field, and Yelich gets second base. That's the kind of stuff that I keep talking about. To be aggressive. Jason Alexander is becoming one of my favorite players because he's filled in so well for the Brewers since Brandon Woodruff got injured. I want to keep him around. I really like Jason Alexander. 5 2/3, 8 hits, 1 walk, only 2 earned runs. I'm gonna save a Jason Alexander stat for when I get into some positive takeaways. But Miguel Sanchez, Trevor Kelly, Hobie Milner, 3 1/3 innings, hitless combined. What did you see from the second game of that Reds series? I know at least one thing you saw.
Hunter Renfro?
Mm-hmm.
Smash a baseball. Dude, that was ripped, okay? Adames and Renfro homered back-to-back days. Tellez got back on their RBI train. Urias. Peterson picked up to himself. I'm really this is the problem, man. I got to talk now. This is the problem is I fall in love with all these players, and then when we lose, it hurts more. So I'm like, oh, man, Peterson's such a gamer. Oh, man, I wish he could play in the World Series. Oh, man, I love Hunter Renfro. Man, he's a rocket arm. I miss watching Hunter Renfro throw people out. Like, I just fall in love with all these guys. I want to say, I believe it was last night where Adames, they were in a shift, and he was right above second base, and he made a crazy play to his right, and he knocked the ball down. He wasn't able to throw anybody out. But if he doesn't knock that ball down, they probably have second and third in that situation. I believe there's only one out, too. But for him to even be able to react and make that play going to his right is just insane, in my opinion, the reaction time, body control of it. No, this was Jason Alexander's first ever Major League win. Is this the game, right? Yeah.
Yep.
That's amazing. You can't help but feel good for a guy like Jason Alexander, truthfully. I mean, the guy he came out of nowhere to me, and he just comes up and he's balling. I mean, he gives up some hits, whatever. I don't care. He doesn't give up runs, and that is what I care about. It's like when people were talking about the Packers defense a couple years ago, and they're like, oh, my God, they give up so many yards. But then when people got to the red, they suck. Lock that shit down. That's what Jason Alexander is in a pitcher form. He hits, nobody scores.
I'm so glad you said it that way, that he gives up a lot of hits because he gives up a lot of contact, but he doesn't give up a lot of runs. That's just the type of pitcher that he is. So he pitches, he wants guys to make contact with the ball because he wants it to ground out. So here's my Jason Alexander stat. So he has a 1.70 whip, that's walks plus hits per inning pitched, which is high, but just a 2.42 ERA, which is low. That's very low. No pitcher in the live ball era, which is 1920 to now, has had a whip that high and an ERA that low.
Wow. That's a stat, baby. That's a stat. Let's go.
So, yeah, Jason Alexander just casually coming up and in 4 starts is making Major League Baseball history. So,
oh boy.
The Brewers are, I guess, okay at developing pitching, if you want to say that.
Dude, I don't know. Maybe I don't watch a lot of other teams. I mean, I tune in sometimes, but we might be the best, dude. We just got arms coming out of everywhere, man. Seriously. Hey, there's Chris Gas. I'm just gonna give you a gas tank logo, man, Chris.
Yeah, Christopher is my hype man.
He's going nuts today. That was a sick stat, though. I'm not gonna lie.
My other few things that I had from this game. Willy Adames, it seems like he's getting his power back. You mentioned Jason Alexander getting his first win. The Brewers manufacturing runs. So back to what Taylor was saying about trying to play some small ball and not just hit for the home runs. The Brewers manufactured some runs in this game. And then Tyrone Taylor made a great diving catch that had to be reviewed. It was overturned. The Brewers won another challenge. The Brewers are like 10-2 on challenges. The Brewers are actually really good at challenging and winning them. So that's what I had from Game 2. Let's go to Game 3 of the Reds series.
All right. Game 3, the crazy, but Adrian Hauser picked up a win. That is the craziest thing right there. He had 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, which is just like he had all the walks for the pitchers in the game. He had all 4 of them. The 5 Ks. Kelly Milner combined for an inning. Boxberger had an inning himself. Zeros across the board. No strikeouts including, but the other zeros I care about. And Devin Williams, man, the guy, what a luxury. Seriously, what a luxury for the Brewers to be able to be like, yeah, Josh, go have your baby. We'll talk, like a week. Williams, you're up. And then Williams is just like, yeah, I'm good too. So I'm just going to shut this shit down. Like, what? What team has that luxury just to have 2?
You want a nasty Devin Williams stat?
Give me it.
For the most horizontal movement on pitches that were thrown more than 300 times, there's over 250 instances of pitches that were thrown. No pitch has as much horizontal movement as Devin Williams' changeup. This is disgusting. It moves an average of 18.6 inches. On average. Devin Williams' changeup on average moves a 1.5 feet from top to bottom.
Imagine. Okay. Now people complain about hitting.
That's so nasty.
Imagine 96 coming at you, and then it looks exactly the same, except it drops 20 inches.
And it's 12 miles an hour slower.
And it's slower. Oh, you just look like a fool. You're fine. You're fine. That's just you have no chance. No chance. Oh man. Wow. That is impressive. For the hitting portion, Renfro went yard for the third day in a row. He had 2 RBIs in this game. Carantini with 2-out homer himself, 2 RBIs. Urias and Matthias also picked up RBIs in this game. And the Brewers swept the Reds away, which was much needed after the week they had last week.
Yeah. Yeah, the Brewers picking up easy wins against not so good teams.
They look good against
definitely
what they need.
They look pretty decent against the Mets, which is encouraging. It would have been nice to see them leave that with a series win, but errors happen. So, and that's another thing where like Rowdy Tellez made an effort play, and we don't fault effort. You can't fault guys for trying to make plays. So we don't. We don't. Yeah. If guys are trying to make plays, I mean, you don't fault that effort because you want him to try to make plays. That's what they do.
I'm excited about it. After you get done with this one, the next game might be my favorite game of the week.
All right. That's fair. I could see that. Andrew McCutchen made a really nice sliding catch. I think it was in the first inning of this game, and Tyrone Taylor made another sweet diving catch in this game. And then the last thing I want to do with this game is I want to give Hobie Milner credit. So I've given Hobie Milner some credit for inheriting runners and not giving any runs up for inherited runners. Hobie Milner comes in with 2 outs, the base is loaded, and the Reds send up Joey Votto to pinch hit. And Hobie Milner has the cojones to come in and get a strikeout against Joey Votto with the bases loaded and 2 outs.
Man, oh man.
Hobie Milner, so far, one of the unsung heroes of the Brewers season. So I just want to keep giving him that credit.
I believe this is for the next game. I took a screenshot the other day of a stat. I took a
All right, let's go. Go.
And you actually commented on it on the Twitter. You commented on it. Rosiak. Burns had
Rosiak.
20 swings and misses in his Rosiak in his 108 pitch outing. 69 of those pitches were cutters.
Nice.
Yes, nice. Dude, Corbin Burns was fucking dealing, dude. He was the man. And I don't remember who tweeted it, but they tweeted out, imagine going from Burns to Williams to Hader. And this is all I said. That's all that needs to be said. That's it. You're fucked. You go from Burns to Cy Young, Williams, who you just heard that crazy stat, and then Josh Hader, who hides the ball and it's coming at you 99. You're screwed, dude. It's over.
You're looking at the reigning Cy Young winner, and then the last 3 relievers of the year in the National League.
Yeah, it's over, dude. The Brewers, that luxury is amazing. And once we get Woodruff back, and Peralta will get going towards the end of the season.
Yep.
Look like the Brewers again. Hopefully the hitting heat up. Summer heats up. I mean, we're gonna be just fine. But watching, and God, I hate the Cubs more than anybody. I hate the Cubs more than anybody else in this division. But the goddamn Cardinals, dude, have been killing this division for my entire lifetime. So finally having a pitcher that can just mow them down like it's no tomorrow, and Corbin Burns is such a beautiful thing for me. 7 innings, 2 hits. He did have 2 walks, but he had 10 Ks, dude. He was just destroyed.
Oh, man. I got more stats. For you. I am the stat man today.
Give me a stat.
All right. So I did want to bring up that Corbin Burns, his cutter was failing him a little bit his last few starts, but I kept bringing up how his off-speed stuff has been good. This game, it seemed like his cutter was really good, and all of his off-speed stuff was really good. So Corbin Burns, 10 strikeouts. He is now second in Brewers history of games with double-digit strikeouts with 17. He has 5 this year. The leader is Giovanni Gallardo with 18. So probably sometime this year, maybe even before the All-Star break, Corbin Burns is going to be the Brewers' all-time leader in double-digit strikeout games, and he's only been a full-time starter for like 2.5 years.
That is bullshit. That's bullshit. I don't care what nobody says. That's bullshit, dude. That's bullshit. Wow. That is insane. That's insane, dude. Wow. I'm sweating a little bit after that one. I'm not gonna lie. Jeez. That's insanity. You can keep going, man. I hope you have more stats.
All right. The rest more stats. I have a little bit more stats later on. They're not as exciting as the ones that I've shared so far, but they might give some good perspective. The rest of this game, one thing I want to do. So Jake mentioned disliking the Cardinals. I don't like the Cardinals either, but I've said it before. I don't like the Cardinals, but I respect them. That being said, I gotta give credit to Tommy Edman. That dude plays freakishly good defense. Like that dude has range on range on range, and he can throw. He can throw from any angle. It doesn't matter if he's throwing across his body like this. Like it doesn't matter what direction he's moving. Like Tommy Edman's a stud.
He's a monster, dude. He's a straight-up monster.
So there was, I don't remember which inning this was. I didn't write it down. There was a pitch in the dirt. It was while Burns was pitching, I think. And Narvaez threw the ball down to second base, and Luis Urias caught the ball and tagged the foot of the runner. It was another challenge that was reviewed, and the Brewers won the challenge, and then they could see that Luis Urias tagged the foot of the runner. So that happened. And then positive takeaways. I mean, Corbin Burns, it was a great outing. He had a solid outing the previous week against the Mets, but this one was Corbin Burns-esque. And in this game, Willy Adames extended his hit streak to 4 games. So with that, we can go to Game 2 of the Cardinal series.
I got a question for you. So I just completely making this up off the top of my head.
I probably have an answer for you.
You know how you're pretty good at answering questions. You know how Rodgers has a standard now because he's a 4-time MVP. Are we getting to that point with Burns where we kind of have a standard where if he goes anything other than 6 innings and has say seven strikeouts, we feel like it's not as good of.
Okay, so I have kind of a 2-part answer to this question. So the first part is, one, I'll say if he were to win another Cy Young award, then I would say yes, I would put him in that conversation where it's like, okay, Rodgers is a 4-time MVP. We expect this, this and this and this and this, and we expect to be in the playoffs. The other thing that I want to say is for Corbin Burns, starters usually start about 30 games per season just on the fact that they pitch on average once every 5 days. The Brewers spread theirs out a little bit more to try to protect the health of their pitchers. So figure 17 games for Rodgers, just call it 34 starts for Burns just for the sake of making math work out well. For every 1 bad game that Rodgers can have, Corbin Burns, by that math, gets 2 bad games that he can have. So if it gets to a point where, say, Corbin Burns has 2 bad starts in a row like he did last week, it's not something where I'd freak out the same way that I wouldn't freak out if Rodgers has 1 bad game out of 17 in the NFL season.
And you know what, kids? That's called context. Congratulations. You win today, Tyler.
I'm gonna get a crown that just says context on it. I'm gonna wear the context crown.
Bro, we're trying to create T-shirts. Why don't we create a damn shirt with our logo on it? Instead of saying Wisco Fanatics, just say Context.
Context, Crone.
Because we're so big on it, man. Seriously. There's all these empty arguments where people are like, oh, the Packers suck. You're like, well, why do they suck? Well, I don't like that. Great. Good job, man. I'm glad I wasted my time on that conversation.
Right.
So annoying. Hey, that's what successful people do, Chris. Always thinking. The wheel's always turning. Mine's turning, just not as fast as Tyler's. It'll get there.
Yeah, it will.
All right, let's go to the shitty
game 2. Yeah.
I didn't get to watch this whole game. I didn't get to see a lot of Chi-Chi because I was stuck at work. But from what I heard, he did all right. Gorman for the Cardinals, the rookie. He went 4 for 4, had 2 homers. So that was really what lost us the game. I mean, not really. Let's put some context on this, right? The Brewers were 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. Adames got a homer. That was really it. We had 5 walks. We were gifted 5 walks. 5 is a massive number in the walks category. That's just from the starter yesterday. What was his name? Flaherty. And he had a bad start the start before. Talking about just him on the Cardinals. He pitched 3 innings before. He only went 3 innings last night, I believe. But 5 walks, and you only scored 2 runs. Oh, that's not okay. Those are games last night where you watch it and you understand why Brewers fans complain as much as they do about the hitting, because 5 walks, dude. We should have scored at least 4 or 5 runs.
Yeah, I wanted to pull up the tweet because there was a tweet about the Brewers and base runners, so I wanted to try to find that. Let's see if I can find it. On the conversation of Chichi Gonzalez, he got down early, so he got off to a slow start. He was down 2-0 right away in the first inning. That being said, the Brewers did come and get those 2 runs back right away. But like you said, getting all those walks, I think there was an inning where Urias and Yelich led off an inning with back-to-back singles, and neither of them came around to score. I just wanted to try to find the one stat that I had. A guy like Nolan Gorman, who has like 2
that was nice.
2 legendary names, Nolan Gorman. 2 first names, by the way, so he can't be trusted either.
Nope, can't be trusted. Screw that guy. Well, after last night, I wouldn't trust him either. Jeez. Right.
I did have a couple positive takeaways. Willie Adames hit his 14th home run, just 47 games, like I said, based on that math. He could be in line for something like 40 homers. He's on a 5-game hitting streak now. Suter had an inning and a third scoreless. Is good to see. His 4th straight scoreless outing, actually. And then Luis Urias starting to look a little bit better at the plate is encouraging to see as well. So that's the takeaways that I had from that game as far as positivity is concerned. And I will find the stat that I'm looking for, because it was somewhat telling how the Brewers did basically all of their threatening in like the first 3 innings.
Who's on the bump for the Brewers tonight? Let's see real quick here. Okay, Brewers.
Should be Lauer.
It is Lauer versus Adam Wainwright. Well, while you're finding that real quick, I want to go over something.
I got it.
Okay, never mind. Do your thing.
So the Brewers had 1 hit after the 2nd inning and 2 base runners after the 3rd inning in last night's loss.
That's a lot of 1, 2, 3 innings from the Cardinals, man. And that is how you don't gain any momentum in a game where it was right. Basically, the entire game, it was right there, man. And they could have taken it at any point, but they didn't. The Cardinals did, and the Cardinals are a good team. We're back tied on top of the NL Central, so we'll see what's going on. I wanted to talk about how the Brewers have played so many away games already, man.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like we're always on the road.
And that, too, with the 3-team, 3-city road trips.
Yeah, that's a lot to take on, man. And the Brewers are still above 500. Still, again, like I said, tied for first in their division.
Dealt with a shit ton of injuries on top of it.
Against a Cardinals team that's always competing. Brewers play 41 away games. They're 23-18. So that's a very good road record, in my opinion. It's hard to win on the road. So you go on the road, you win. They're good. 29 home games are 16-13. So I would like us to get some home cooking going. Start winning 2 out of 3 every home series. 2 out of 3, 2 out of 3. And then if you have that above 500 away record, then you're going to be one of the top teams in the NL, and then you're going to be in position to host.
Exactly what happened last year. It's exactly what happened last year. That's what developed into last year, us developing the slogan "Pitching Travels," because the Brewers were doing so well on the road because their pitching was carrying them so well. So maybe we'll have to bring Pitching Travels back.
Oh, that could be another one, dude. We got so many random things that we've said on the show that just stuck, man. They just stick.
So starting tonight, the Brewers have 2 more games against the Cardinals. Then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that is the Blue Jays series. So that'll be a good measuring stick. It'd be nice to see the Brewers get this series win against the Cardinals. It'd be nice to have an opportunity to win 3 out of 4 if I can be greedy, just because it'd be when you're facing the head-to-head, the team you're tied with, having the opportunity to take a game by winning every day is something you want to do, obviously. And then they go play 3 against Toronto. That's a measuring stick series. They have off on Monday, and then Tuesday they start playing the Rays. So it doesn't get terribly much easier after the Cardinals series moving from there. But let's go. Do you want to do power pairs or improvement first?
Can I tell you a random story?
A random story?
It involves the Rays because you brought them up, and I tell it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, they're cool young prospect, Wander Franco, right?
Mm-hmm.
So his name's
he's the reason we have Julio Adames.
Yes, he is. And this is amazing, dude. His dad's name is Wander Franco. Okay, he has 2 brothers. Their names are Wander Franco. Okay, wait a second. He had a son. He named his son Wander Franco, dude. He's having another son this summer. I swear on anything, if Wander Franco, I don't trust anything in the world anymore, dude. I just want to put the Wander Francos walking around.
No. This is what's happening. They are now a comic book family, and they are the Wanderers.
Isn't that amazing though? There's like 100 Wander Francos all of a sudden. I'm like, how far does this Wander shit go back, dude?
Dude, are you actually trying to wander down the road of wanders?
I am. Dude, I'm wandering right into it.
We have wandered off the path of what we're trying to do here.
We definitely have wandered. I had to tell it, dude. I'm sorry. So many Wander Francos. I was like, what's happening right now?
I was
just scrolling on my phone one day, and a little reel popped up. And it was a chick telling a random story, and she was like, Wander Franco? I'm like, yeah, he's pretty good. He hits bombs, and they're like, Wander Franco. I'm like, there's 50 of these fuckers, dude. Why is there so many Wander Francos?
It's gonna be like Wander Franco with the curly hair. It's gonna be Wander Franco with the birthmark. It's gonna be Wander Franco with the mole on his cheek. It's gonna be Wander Franco with the cigar. Like
Major League Wander.
Yeah, it's gonna be Wander Franco, the shortstop. Oh man,
my God. There's so many Wander Francos, dude. Oh man, let's do power pair before we wander off anymore.
We have wandered off the path. All right, so I'm just gonna go first and give my power pair pitcher because I already mentioned the cool stat that I had about him, which was Corbin Burns. Like I said, he's second now in double-digit strikeout games in Brewers history. He needs just 1 more to tie Giovanni Gallardo, 2 more to pass him. His 2 starts last week, 13 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs. Those both came against the Mets. 18 strikeouts, and he's back to Corbin Burns. He's basically last year and this year, his 2 bad outings that he had happened almost at the same exact time. I kind of touched on this last week a little bit, but his 2 bad outings that he had happened almost at the exact same time as they did last season. So Corbin Burns bouncing back. it's a great thing to see, especially as the Brewers are dealing with so many injuries. So any game where you can have a guy go more than 6 innings, potentially 7 innings to save the bullpen that's going to be active a lot is just more beneficial to the team, more than Corbin Burns already is.
So I also had Corbin Burns. I was trying to decide between Corbin Burns and Devin.
Oh, I thought for sure you were going to go with Devin Williams.
I really wanted to, but then I was looking at Corbin Burns' stats, and I was like, bro, this is God telling me, like, you got to pick Corbin Burns. 2 things. His bobblehead day is coming up. And another one, I hope that the Brewers set it up that he starts at least one of the games in the New Jerseys. I hope that is a thing. I love all the New Jerseys. The powder blue is definitely a thing that needs to stay, in my opinion. But he had 13 innings.
Saturday.
He should pitch Saturday?
Saturday. If he pitched Tuesday, he should pitch Saturday.
Okay. Well, his bobblehead isn't until Sunday, so that's a little weird. But
he doesn't have a pitch on his bobblehead day.
I know.
No rule that says that.
It would just make sense to me.
Willie Adames was hurt on his bobblehead day.
Yeah, that's unlucky. So is Woodruff. Burns had 13 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 18 Ks. He had more Ks than innings pitched. This guy is just unfair. And like you said, you stole the one line that I wrote on here. Corbin Burns is back to being Corbin Burns.
Yeah. All right. Well, why don't you tell me your man crush position player, power pair?
Can't help it, dude. Hunter Renfro. He's got the locks, bro. He's got the arm. Pitch Sunday. Oh, because you're going to the game, I'm assuming, Tim. Tim, you got to go to a game with me and Tyler, damn it. You go to all these damn games, and you haven't invited us. Pretty rude. But anyways, I have Hunter Renfro. 7 of 24. He said Woodruff was – yeah, he was. I said that already. I beat you to it there, Julio Jones. He was 7 of 24. That's 291 average. He had 6 walks. He did strike out 6 times. That's one bad thing. But he had 7 RBIs, 3 home runs, and he scored 4 runs. So, I mean, for a guy coming off, a week that he did, and I said I wanted to see more out of him and Willie Adames, I feel like they both bounced back.
Well, it's a good thing you brought him up because mine is Willie Adames. He's on a 5-game hitting streak now. The last week he was 9 for 31. That's a 290 batting average. He had 3 home runs, 7 RBI. It's good to see Willie Adames bouncing back. Christian Yelich has been much better since he's been in the leadoff position. I think Luis Urias and Rowdy Tellez are the next 2 up to start doing more at the plate. Those are the 2 next that I want to see start getting out of their slumps. Luis Urias looked pretty good last night. He ripped a couple line drives that were good to see. So Yelich, Willie, Renfro getting it going. It'd be nice to see some other guys start to pick it up. Because I posed the question during the Brewers losing streak, it's like all the Brewers are slumping at the same time. So my thought was to ask, what if the Brewers all get hot at the same time? What could that lead to? That 10-2 game against the Mets was kind of that breakout where it's like, okay, this is what the Brewers can do when they're all firing on all cylinders at the same time. So imagine the Brewers doing that for 2 weeks straight or something like that. That's where where we would try to encourage you to be more optimistic, just because the law of averages would suggest if they have 2 weeks of really shitty hitting and they go on an 8-game losing streak, that at some point the opposite has to happen. So, at some point, the Brewers are going to rip off a long winning streak and just be beating the cover off the ball and, throwing all the nastiest pitches, and Jason Alexander getting 9,000 ground balls every game and really firing on all cylinders at the same time. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking forward to see the Brewers get going with that, and to start getting healthy is another big thing. So,
yeah, getting healthy is definitely more of my concern. I know the hitting will come around, like you said, the averages, it'll even out. But getting Woodruff back, getting Peralta back, getting our staff back, strengthening up our already very good bullpen. I had a stat, but I lost it. I couldn't find the photo about the scoreless inning streak that they had going. I'm going to try to find it. Maybe I'll bring it up next week. Right. It won't make sense. But I'm going to find it.
You can try to find it now while I talk about some improvements real quick.
All right, let me look for it.
All right. So, legs cramping up. That sucks.
Oh, shit. Detroit has traded Jeremy Grant.
Yeah, Jeremy Grant. Yep, I saw that. Ow. I had to stand up. My leg cramped up. Ouch.
Ooh, okay.
That sucked. Oh, that sucked.
Hey, man, that's the worst, man.
Oh,
Charlie horses.
it's been so hot, dude. I have this. This is a 32-ounce water bottle. I swear to you, I have filled this thing up 12 times in the last 3 days.
Oh my God.
There's no reason my body should be cramping up on me right now. Okay. So looking at, I started this last week trying to look for things the Brewers can improve. Just looking for ways that the Brewers have things they could improve, and then trying to look at ways how they can improve those things. So looking at the second game of the Mets series, and then just throughout the entire week, striking out. The Brewers are striking out way too much. In the second game of the Mets series, they were really struggling with off-speed pitches. Last Wednesday, 10 strikeouts. Last Thursday, 15. Friday, 10. Saturday, 10. Sunday, 7, which is better. And then Monday, only 4. And Tuesday, they had 6, which is 6 is okay. So as far as striking out too much, it's it's really hard to pinpoint why the Brewers are striking out so much. So the Brewers are 5th in Major League Baseball in strikeouts, but they have the 3rd lowest chase percentage. So that's swinging at pitches outside the zone. They have the lowest first pitch swinging percentage, so maybe that can kind of contribute to some of it. If they're if other teams are just sitting, dead red, that the Brewers aren't going to be swinging at the first pitch, so they know they can get in ahead in a count by just throwing an easy strike. The Brewers only swing at the first pitch 25.6% of the time. So only 1 out of every 4 at bats are the Brewers swinging at the first pitch. Easily the lowest in Major League Baseball. The other thing that the Brewers aren't really near the league leaders is the Brewers are the 5th lowest in zone swing percentage. Some of this, I will say, I think has been due to inconsistent umpiring. I don't think it's enough to really skew the percentage of not swinging at pitches in the zone. But it's just one of those things where it seems like the Brewers are trying to draw walks more than to fight pitches off. I don't know if there's a way to see on average how many foul balls are hit with 2 strikes. I have no idea if there's a way to find that stat, or if I just have to try to track it myself. But that could be one of the things that maybe they could try to improve is just shortening up their swings with 2 strikes, trying to fight pitches off, foul off pitches that are close to the zone, and just try to wait out a pitcher mistake, as opposed to trying to just draw walks, even if you're down 1-2 in a count. Because the Brewers, it feels like they have not gotten a lot of favorable umpiring. It seems like the opposite is true, actually. But like I said, I don't think it's enough to really skew the percentage. Next thing, Eric Lauer giving up home runs. So the 3 that he gave up during the Reds series, he gave up 1 to Almora, he gave up 1 to Drury, and 1 to Tommy Pham. So the one that he gave up to Albert Almora, it was a low and inside pitch. That one, you just tip your cap and give credit. Like he hit a ball that was not in a great place, and like he hit the home run. He hit it hard. That one, I give credit to Albert Almora for knocking out. The other 2 that he threw, 1 to Brendan Drury and 1 to Tommy Pham, were both like meatball right down the middle of the plate pitches. Mm-hmm. So that is, we talk about the Brewers wanting to drive down their walks. That seems like Lauer trying to get in the head in the count by betting on batters not swinging at the first pitch. I think both of those were first pitch home runs or early in the count. So Lauer needs to be a little bit more subtle if he's trying to get ahead in the count early in the count. Because the Reds had 2 guys, Tommy Pham and Brendan Drury, that just jumped all over those pitches. So that's my thought on improving Eric Lauer giving up home runs, is to just be a little more subtle, trying to get ahead early in the count. And then the last thing is seeing Willy Adames being more patient at the plate. I brought this up last week. I'm going to look into it more. I want to get a bigger sample size on it before I try to speak on Willy Adames being more patient or not patient at the plate. Just because after coming back from his injury, he had 1 bad week and now he's had 1 good week. So I want to have a bigger sample size on Willy Adames to see if it was just his injury that was causing his hitting to be down, or, if it was an underlying issue of swinging at pitches low and away or something like that. So I'm going to hold off on trying to talk about what Willy Adames could improve as far as his plate discipline is concerned. But I will, once that sample size gets a little bit bigger, then I will try to talk on Willy Adames' plate discipline a little bit more.
Yeah, I think his average is definitely going to go up. He's got good plate discipline, I think. If he lays out that low and outside stuff, he'll be just fine. Make them pitch to you, Willie. Yeah. They don't want to because you got power, but make them pitch to you. I couldn't find the stat. I think I accidentally deleted it. But I did have a shout out I wanted to give. It is a great time, and it's not talked about enough. It's a great time to be a Wisconsin basketball fan. Kayvon Looney and Jordan Poole, obviously major pieces of the Warriors medal. Sixth man of the year, Tyler Hero, Wisconsin native. And there's going to be maybe 3 people from colleges in Wisconsin, 2 born in Wisconsin, I know for sure, that might get drafted tomorrow night. For the first time ever, we're looking for Marquette Badgers in Milwaukee to have somebody drafted in the NBA draft. For the first time ever that would happen. So that would be insane. Yep. Milwaukee doesn't really get a lot of high recruits, so that makes sense. Green Bay as well. If Green Bay could get any good, that would be amazing. But just a great time. I feel like we're improved. I feel like, as much as I don't want to give them credit, I feel like they're really good at developing talent. I know Chet is from there. He might be the number 1 pick. So Minnesota, Wisconsin, we're standing up right now in the basketball world, man. We put a lot of good players in the league right now.
So the three that Jake are talking about is obviously Johnny Davis. It's Patrick Baldwin that Jake mentioned before, and the other one is Justin Lewis from Marquette. Yep. That's the one that Jake's talking about. So just to get that name familiarity out there, Justin Lewis is the other one that Jake's talking about.
Could be the first time, man. We could see history, Wisconsin history tomorrow.
Yeah, Johnny Davis, when he's not playing center field for the Brewers, he's going to get drafted to the
Johnny
NBA.
Davis, I don't know how I feel about him in the league. I don't know how he's going to transition. He has to become a more efficient scorer outside of the paint, but hit athletically wise, I think he'll be able to hang. I think he'll be able to get up and down. I don't think that'll be a problem for him. Defense, obviously, we know he loves to compete on the defensive end. So I've seen him going to the Spurs. I've seen him going to the Wizards, which is bad now that Beal wants out. But it'll be interesting to see where Davis goes. I'll definitely be following his career pretty
sure. If he gets drafted by the Wizards, he's starting day 1. Assuming Beal leaves.
Oh, yeah. 100%. They're definitely going to go into neutral mode.
Yeah, since he declared, I've for some reason can't get him out of my mind on the Spurs. That's just where I've pictured him. The Spurs pick at 9. That's the place where I've just pictured him ending up. I don't know why.
I would love for him to go there just to be around Pop.
Yeah,
just
that'd be cool.
That knowledge from Pop, because I feel like he's going to be a guy that needs to develop, and Pop is the guy that has the patience. All number ones would be awesome because Dejounte Murray is an underrated stud. So
that's what I was just going to say. Is putting him with Dejounte Murray. He's a guy who's a really willing passer. He's a really good passer. Dejounte Murray is. I think, like you said, he's underrated. So pairing Johnny Davis in a backcourt with Dejounte Murray, I think that would be a really, really good fit for him.
Dejounte Murray is like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who plays for the Thunder, where they're both just racking up stats, just scoring, rebounding, getting assists, getting steals.
Yep.
And they're both just stuck down there, Texas, Oklahoma area. Yeah, and just ball. Yeah, he would fit really good on that system, in my opinion.
Yep.
I want him on the Spurs as well, but I've seen him mock to the Wizards, and I do not want that because I don't want us whooping his ass 3 times a year.
I've also heard that Greg Popovich is interested in getting DeAndre Ayton to the Spurs.
Ooh.
So if they could figure out a way to pull that off, I mean, it would probably include the number 9 pick, but.
Well, that would mean that Davis would probably fall if he doesn't go to the Wizards, and maybe he ends up a Buck if they for 14. Just saying.
It's possible.
Just throwing it up in the realm of possibilities.
Personally, I don't see him falling past 11. I'm not sure what pick the Pacers have, but if he gets to the Pacers are taking him.
Yeah, well, the Pacers. If the Pacers do anything, I want them to do one thing: Give us Miles
Turner.
Yeah, thank you.
I've wanted him for like 3 years now. Ugh.
This is the year. This is definitely the year. And sadly, it might include Brook Lopez. I would be very sad. But, dude, Miles Turner with Giannis, come on. I want titles more than I love these players. I love them for what they gave us. But Miles Turner with Giannis, dude, imagine the block parties.
Christopher, I'm glad you brought it up just because I've seen it so many places saying to bring Brogdon back. It's not going to happen ever, strictly because Brogdon does not want to be here.
Yeah. Yeah, he got political with it too when he left. He got very cool when he left us, so it's not happening.
Yeah, he just straight up does not want to be in Milwaukee.
Yeah, he did it. He did it for reasons outside of basketball. So that's how I know it's 100% not happening. If we're gonna go get a former Buck, I would want us to get PJ Tucker. Not happening, no. I heard rumors that Philly is going to be offering him 3 years.
3 years, $30 million.
Like,
dude, he'll be 40 by the end of that deal.
So he's going to give a 40-year-old $10 million and expect him not to spend it on shoes. Is that what you're going to do? Because you know he spends, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's maybe building through the draft, and I really, really like to see Kyle Anderson. They'd have to convince him to take like $6.5 million. Because I think that's what their mid-level exception is $6.5 million. So ultimately boils down to if he wants to buy into playing for a title contender. He was on Memphis last year. So people are like, oh, he played on Memphis. He was on a title contender last year. Let's pump the brakes on calling the Grizzlies a title contender after one run into the second round. I get that Ja Morant was hurt, but the Bucks have paid their dues and won a championship now. So there's different tiers there. The Grizzlies are a tier down from title contender.
They're still figuring out how to win. Okay, the big time games, there's a difference. Possession by possession, everything means something. The good news though for the Bucks is that we got our boy Pat Connaughton back today.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that
massive. Hopefully they can figure out the Portis news. I'll Portis to come back. After that, we're gonna watch the draft tomorrow night. We might live stream. I want to invite Chris. Chris, come on out. Tim, come on out. Everybody come join us. Also, start joining us on Friday nights, man. I just want to plug it one more time. Friday nights are going to be Packer Party nights. I don't know if that name is going to stick. I just kind of threw it out there. But we're just going to be having some Packer parties. We're going to be having 2 more people join us, Simon and Bryant. That'll be really exciting. Those guys have different outlooks than we do.
Yeah, more perspective is never a bad thing, in my opinion. I will say that I think
definitely really smart, and they understand football. Yeah.
I will say there's potentially, I think, is too much perspective. Like, we're not going to have like 8 people on here at once, but I think 4 is kind of that max.
That's
so yeah. So just more perspective, and that's what we like to do on the show. In addition to the positivity and the optimism of even if let's say the Packers are favored to lose a game, or if they're projected to lose a game, whatever what the money line is. Jake and I are going to do things to look at, even if Jake and I pick a record of say 12-5, and we're talking about one of the 5 games we think the Packers are going to lose, that we're still going to give you the ways that the Packers could win. We're not going to talk about why we think they're going to lose. We're still going to talk about the ways that they could win. And that's the way that we want to approach the way that we talk about things, is we want to approach them from a positive, from an optimistic standpoint, and that's what we're going to continue to do. And then offering more perspective. So that's where I bring in like the zone swinging percentage for the Brewers and the chase percentage and those things, just to try to give more perspective instead of just going on to Facebook and seeing somebody say, oh, the Brewers suck, they're not going anywhere, fire council, trade Yelich, trade Burns while we can get something for them. Instead of just doing that, finding a different way to look at something to say, hey, the Brewers don't suck, they just need to improve this one area. Or if they can acquire a guy that does this well to shore up their one weakness. Or if it just comes down to, like I've used the term, the law of averages. So I use it a lot during the Bucks Celtics series. For teams to average 35% on threes, they're going to have some games where they shoot 15%. They're also going to have some games where they shoot 55%. So it's not all just what our teams are doing wrong or what our teams suck at. It's okay to say that the other team deserves credit for winning sometimes. It's not always our team lost. Sometimes the other team won.
I mean, especially in the playoffs, you play against other good teams.
Right.
The Packers lost. Yeah, that shit hurt. And there is when we broke it down. I thought we did a very good job breaking it down. And we looked at the reasons that lost us that game. But the 49ers also won the game. They also came and they came into our house in the frigid cold of frozen tundra, and they played their brand of football, and they stuck to it for 60 minutes, and it worked. Yep. They damn near should have beat the Rams in the NFC Championship game, man. I mean, there's just it's a game of inches, like they say, and sometimes you lose, sometimes you don't.
Here's the thing: is it's okay. It's okay to give credit to your rivals once in a while.
Get back on the Bucks. Dash off more than the Packers.
Like I said, with the first game of the Cardinals series, giving Tommy Edman credit for playing really good defense. It's not that Christian Yelich and Luis Urias can't hit. It's part of it was they got hits taken away from them by really good defense. At the end of the day, Cardinals fans and Brewers fans may be rivals, but we still have in common that we are watching Major League Baseball. Or when it comes to, the same thing with Bucks and Bulls fans, Packers, Bears, Packers, Vikings, all those rivalries, they're still playing the same sport. So we have something in common despite being rivals. And to break it down even further, when it comes to rivalries, every 4 years the Olympic happens. I don't give a damn what state you're from when the Olympics happen. It's Team USA time.
Yeah. Fuck you,
and
Russia.
We're all on the same team.
Fuck
Russia's
you, Russia.
They're not even allowed in the Olympics. They're too busy doing steroids thinking nobody's going to notice when a chick has a thigh this size.
Man. They got AJ Dillon females walking around.
Right? Yeah. Quadzilla from Mother Russia, and nobody will notice.
His name is actually Mark, but they threw a wig on him. Fuck it. They won't.
Yeah.
Girls can be boys. Boys can be girls now.
We shave head of all our citizens so they all look same.
Oh, we're wandering off again. Here we go.
All right, man. You got anything else?
Nah, man. Hopefully the Brewers can keep winning so I don't have to watch people cry.
Yeah. And if you don't want to deal with it, come hang out with us and we'll frame some perspective and some positive attitude on it.
So, hey, Chris, thanks for showing love today, buddy. Seriously. Right.
Yeah, my number one hype man. Chris is now my hype man.
Taylor, Tim, hey, thank you for showing love. Dan, you're still a dick.